There are some stories that never settle. They shift under your ribs. Memory, guilt, mercy, all wrestling for air. My little brother Mikey was the boy with the frozen tears. 6 years old, maybe 7. Too short to reach the clothesline. Trying to hang sheets he'd been shamed for wetting. His little fingers red and raw. Gasping for breath. Tears frozen to his cheeks. Because they sent him out there in the dead of winter. Barefoot. Barehanded. No hat. No mercy. The cold bit through his skin, and still he tried to hang those sheets, doing what he was told, because fear was stronger than frost. Because by the time we got to that house, we already knew what protection costs. Less than 15 minutes after my father's car disappeared down that driveway, I was in a fight with the oldest daughter, Big Betty, big-boned, half again as tall as me. I tore her bra and panties right off her. Betty's mother whipped my ass for that fight. My first whipping there on the first night of our prison sentence, but it was worth it. That house was not a home. It was a factory for breaking children. And that oldest girl, Big Betty, she molested my brother over and over. I didn't know for a long time what she was doing to Mikey, how sneaky she was, waiting until no one was looking. When I found out, it stopped because I stopped it. So when people ask how an innocent boy becomes the man he later was, I think of that house, and I know exactly where the pattern began. He was the fragile one, a mind that moved slower but loved faster. And I was the keeper, the one who said, "You will not hurt him again." Years later, when I had my daughter, I had to choose protection all over again. This time for her, from him. It's a strange kind of hell when the person you once saved becomes the person you must save someone from. That night still lives in my bones. My daughter was only 3. Her bonus aunt wanted to take the kids camping. I asked if my brother would be there. Twice, I asked. I was emphatic in my questioning. I was lied to. That woman looked me straight in the face and said no. But he was there. And that lie was the end of our relationship between that woman and I. A choice I have never once regretted. And when he took my little girl's hand and pushed it down his pants, something inside her froze. She felt his skin, the weight, the wrongness, and she panicked. She ran across the room to where her big brother was sleeping, the one who had always been her hero, and curled beside him, crying. And he was her hero that night, without even knowing he would be, because when she pressed herself against him, she was safe. He saved her. What happened was bad. Bad enough for a courtroom. Bad enough for a lifetime of distance. But because he was there, it wasn't worse. And that is a mercy I thank God for every day. I can still see that courtroom. My family on one side, stone-faced, angry that I'd brought it there. The district attorney on the other, angry too, because it was an election year and I refused to demand prison. And me, the only one in that room begging for healing over punishment. The judge asked what I wanted. I said, help. He needs help. He can't be around children. He can't be around my daughter. And the gavel came down, not in fury, but in understanding. The judge was the only one who truly listened. The years that followed were silence, letters unsent, phone calls unanswered, love stripped down to ache and obligation. Then one day at the NW, Mikey told me he was once more petitioning the Kiwanis for membership. He'd been allowed to serve at Friday night fish fries, but he wanted to become a full member. That would have opened doors, volunteer events, public outings, places where children would perhaps not always be tightly supervised. And I couldn't let that happen. On the drive home after seeing him, I realized just how tired I was. Tired of carrying this vigilance, of being the one who always has to guard the gates. I didn't want to live like that anymore. Always watching, always bracing. So this time, I decided to let it rest in my daughter's hands. She was grown now. If forgiveness had found her, if she'd made peace with any of it, then this would be her chance to decide what that meant. So I did what I had to do. I reached out to my sister and asked her to get a message to my daughter. Not because they were close, but because it was the only way to give my girl her own say. I wanted her to have a voice in this. After all these years, I thought maybe she deserved that. Maybe we all did. And she chose to pursue it. She was angry, not just about this, but about years of tangled grief and stories retold wrong. But at least this time, it was her voice in the mix, not mine. And maybe that's the best I could do. Step back and let her speak for herself. Mike was devastated, angry, and I was terrified he might harm himself. He'd wanted that membership more than anything. His way of belonging, of feeling useful, of being seen as a good man. With his limitations and no children of his own, that simple chance to be a part of something meant the world to him. And I knew it. I knew what I was taking from him. I knew it would break his heart. So I called my aunt and uncle, asked them to check in on him, because I was truly afraid my brother might take his own life. My aunt said, "Would you like us to talk to the priest?" And I remember waiting for someone to ask about my daughter, to ask if they could pray for her too. But they never did. Their concern was only for him. That was the old blindness of our family, the kind that prays for the sinner, but forgets the child who suffered. I love them, truly. They're in their mid-80s now, kind in their own way, hosts of those big family reunions I haven't attended the past 2 years. But the distance isn't about anger. It's about difference. The political divide, the spiritual divide, the difference in values and beliefs, the ache of loving people who will never really see what you see. That was the day I quietly detached from them. Because love is not always kind. Sometimes it's just relentless. Then came the hospital. What they thought was pneumonia turned out to be acute bronchitis. Loretta called. We've never been close. But she and Mikey have been married more than 25 years now, and as I reminded my brother while I sat beside his bed, she has been a saving grace for him, as he has been for her. Whatever has come between us through the years doesn't matter. He loves her. She has had his back. And once again, at that hospital, she showed up for him. For that, I am profoundly grateful. I drove straight there, bringing him one of my hospital gift bags. It's something I've done for years. They're never quite the same, but they always have some kind of kid stuff tucked inside. Coloring books, crayons, a stuffed animal or two. I try to match them to the person, like the soft teddy bear I knew Mikey would hold, and that ridiculous fabric hat shaped like a beer can that said, "Got beer?" People tease me about those bags. Grown women with teddy bears, men caught coloring in their books. But I've seen it too many times to doubt it. No matter how old we get, when we're sick enough to land in a hospital bed, we're all just kids again. And a little comfort still works the same way it always did. Coloring books, markers, a goofy beer hat, and a tiny teddy bear, soft as forgiveness. He held it the whole time I was there. When I went back the next day, he was still holding it. That bear, that small comfort in a body that had carried too much fear for too long. And I remembered that little boy at the clothesline, tears frozen to his cheeks, fingers stinging, still trying to make things right, the only way a broken boy ever learned how. So here I am, a woman who has loved both the victim and the offender, who has carried both mercy and rage in the same breath, who still wakes in the night wondering if there was any other way. But maybe this is the way. To love what's broken without pretending it isn't. To guard the innocent without damning the wounded. My brother may never understand me. My daughter, her silence belongs to another story, the loss of her brother and the mother she wants to see suffer for surviving it. But I know what I did was right, because sometimes healing doesn't look like forgiveness. Sometimes it looks like distance. Sometimes it looks like a teddy bear in a hospital bed. And sometimes it looks like a mother who will not stop loving, even when love has no place left to go.